I am Archangel Michael, and I speak to you now not by accident, not by chance, not because you were searching, but because heaven was searching for you. This moment was marked long before your tears ever fell, before you whispered your pain into the silence, before you held your breath so no one would hear you break. This hour was written. You may not understand why this message reached you now, but I tell you with authority. Timing is everything in the realm of God, and you have arrived at a precise intersection of divine intention. You have wondered why things unfolded the way they did. You have replayed moments in your mind, asking where you went wrong, questioning if you waited too long, prayed too weakly, hoped too much. But listen carefully. This message did not find you because you were strong. It found you because you were faithful in weakness. Heaven responds not only to loud prayers, but to quiet endurance. Every silent tear you wiped away when no one was watching became a signal. Every night you lay awake, holding questions with no answers, became a beacon. I want you to feel this truth deeply. Nothing about your pain was invisible. Not one moment of confusion escaped the eyes of God. You were not overlooked. You were not forgotten. You were being preserved. There is a difference, and tonight that difference begins to make sense. What felt like abandonment was actually containment. What felt like delay was alignment. And what felt like silence was heaven preparing a response too heavy to release early. You are here because something has shifted. I am not speaking of a future far away or a hope vague and distant. I am speaking of now. The reason your spirit felt restless before this message appeared is because your season is turning. When the spiritual atmosphere changes, the soul feels it first. That heaviness you couldn't explain, the sudden emotion that rose without warning, that was not weakness. That was transition. Stay with me. Do not scroll away. Do not let distraction steal what is unfolding. I need you to understand the weight of this moment. There are answers forming even as you listen. There are movements in the unseen that require your attention. This is not the time to look away, because what is coming next is connected to what you have been crying about in secret. You did not imagine the resistance. You did not exaggerate the struggle. Forces rose against you precisely because of what is tied to your future. When the enemy cannot destroy purpose, he tries to exhaust the carrier of it. But you endured. You kept breathing. You kept believing, even when belief felt fragile. That endurance alone triggered heaven's response. I was sent because you reached a threshold. Heaven does not interrupt lives casually. When a message like this appears, it is because something must be revealed before it manifests. You are being prepared to recognize what is about to change so you do not miss it, dismiss it, or doubt it when it arrives. I tell you now, keep watching. Stay until the end. There is more coming, and each word is building toward it. Do not underestimate what is unfolding in this very hour. If this message resonates, if something in you knows this is for you, I want you to act, not later now, like this message as a sign of agreement. And in the comments, type, I receive this shift. Your words matter. They align you with what is being released. Stay here, do not leave. The next part carries what your heart has been waiting to hear, and it is closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and I tell you now with certainty, I saw you when no one else did. I saw the tears you never explained, the prayers you whispered so quietly you wondered if even God could hear them. You learned how to smile in public while breaking in private. You mastered the art of saying, I'm fine, while your soul was asking how much longer it could hold on. And hear me clearly, none of that was hidden. You cried where no one could rescue you, because you did not want to be a burden. You suffered in silence, because you believed your pain was inconvenient, misunderstood, or too complicated to explain. But heaven never asked you to perform strength. Heaven watched your honesty. The tears that fell in the dark carried more truth than the words you spoke in the light. There were moments you pressed your face into your hands just to breathe. Moments you sat still because moving felt impossible. Moments when you asked God questions you were afraid to say out loud. You wondered if your faith was failing because the answers did not come. But listen, faith is not proven by how loudly you pray when things go right, but by how long you stay when everything feels unanswered. You were not weak for crying. You were human. And your humanity did not disqualify you, it summoned help. Angels are dispatched not only to battle, but to witness. I witnessed you, when your voice trembled, when your heart felt heavy for no clear reason, when you felt alone even in a room full of people. I was there. There is something sacred about tears shed in secret. They bypass performance. They carry no ego. They are pure truth. And those tears reached the throne. They spoke when your mouth was tired. They testified when you had no words left. You may have thought they were falling into nothing, but they were being gathered. You questioned why relief did not come immediately, why comfort felt delayed, why it seemed like others were helped while you waited. But I tell you this now, your tears were not ignored, they were timed. Some breakthroughs require depth before release. Some transformations require pressure before clarity. And you were being prepared for something that could not be entrusted to a shallow season. Do not be ashamed of what you cried over. Do not minimize the pain you carried quietly. It mattered. It still matters. And it is directly connected to what is about to change. What you cried about in secret marked the area where heaven is moving openly. The very thing that made you feel vulnerable is the doorway through which restoration is entering. Stay with me. Do not drift. This message is unfolding layer by layer, just like the work being done in your lives. There is momentum now. What felt stuck is loosening. What felt heavy is beginning to lift. But you must remain attentive. This is not the moment to turn away. I need you to hear this next part clearly. You are not about to relive that pain. You are about to outgrow it. The tears have done their work. The ground has been watered. Change does not announce itself loudly at first. It begins quietly, then suddenly everything shifts. Keep watching. Stay until the end. Something is coming together faster than you realize, and you need to be here to recognize it. If you feel this truth stirring in you, respond now, like this message as a sign of alignment. And in the comments, type, "My tears were seen." This is not empty action, it is agreement. Do not leave. The next part speaks directly to the battles you never told anyone about, and it is closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak to the battles you never announced, the wars you fought without witnesses, the nights you survived without applause. There were struggles you could not explain without being misunderstood, so you carried them alone. You learned to fight quietly. You learned to endure without asking for recognition. And I tell you with authority, heaven recorded every unseen victory. You were fighting on more than one level. What looked like exhaustion was spiritual resistance. What felt like confusion was opposition pressing against clarity. You were not simply tired, you were contending. There were forces that recognized what was forming in you before you did, and they moved early, hoping to weaken you before your season matured. But they failed. You questioned why simple things felt heavy, why progress required so much effort, why peace seemed just out of reach. You blamed yourself at times, wondering if something was wrong with you. But hear me now, this was not personal failure, this was spiritual friction. When purpose draws near, resistance intensifies. When destiny approaches, pressure increases. And still you remained. There were moments you wanted to stop caring, to detach, to go numb just to survive. Moments you thought about giving up, not because you lacked faith, but because you were tired of being strong. Yet even then, something in you refused to quit. That was not willpower alone. That was divine reinforcement. You were being held when you felt like you were barely standing. You did not imagine the opposition. The delays, the miscommunications, the sudden setbacks, they were not random, but neither were they victorious. Every attempt to block, you only revealed how necessary your breakthrough is. The enemy does not waste energy on empty futures. Resistance is confirmation that what you carry matters. I stood near you in those silent battles, when your thoughts felt heavy, when your emotions swung without warning, when fear tried to speak louder than truth. You were not abandoned on the battlefield. You were being trained on it. Strength was being forged where no one could see it, so that later no one could take it from you. And now I tell you this with certainty. The season of constant resistance is ending. What you have been pushing against is losing ground. The weight you have been carrying is shifting. You are not about to fight harder. You are about to move forward. Victory does not always come with noise. Sometimes it comes with release. Stay with me. Do not turn away now. This message is building toward something specific, something timely. What you endured in silence is directly connected to what is about to manifest openly. You are closer than you think, and this is not the moment to disconnect. Keep watching. Stay until the end. There is urgency in this hour, and clarity is unfolding layer by layer. If this speaks to your spirit, respond now, like this message as a sign of readiness. And in the comments, type, "I survived the unseen battles." Your declaration matters. Remain here. The next part reveals why heaven took notice when you refused to give up, and what that has set in motion is already approaching. I am Archangel Michael, and now I reveal what you could not see while you were enduring. Heaven was watching closely, not casually, not distantly, but with intent. There came a moment, quiet, unannounced, unnoticed by others, when something shifted because of you. It was not when everything went right. It was when you chose not to quit even though you had every reason to. That moment echoed in the heavens. You may have thought your perseverance was insignificant because no one affirmed it. You may have believed your small acts of faith did not matter because the results were not immediate. But heaven does not measure obedience the way the world measures success. Heaven responds to consistency under pressure. And when you stayed, when you prayed again, when you got up one more time than you wanted to, something registered. There was a line you crossed spiritually, not loudly, not dramatically, but decisively. You did not even realize you were doing it. It happened the day you said, "I don't understand this, but I will not walk away." That decision carried more power than you know. It signaled maturity. It demonstrated trust beyond emotion. And that is when heaven took notice. You were not being tested to see if you would fail. You were being observed to see if you would remain. And you did. That endurance activated movement. Instructions were released. Alignments began forming. What felt like nothing happening on earth was actually preparation unfolding in the unseen. I want you to understand this clearly. Heaven does not rush what must last. The delay was not because you were unworthy. The silence was not because you were ignored. It was because what is coming must be sustained by the version of you that only endurance could produce. You are not the same person you were when this began. That is why things can change now. There were prayers you stopped repeating because you were tired of hoping. But heaven did not stop working on them. Some answers require growth before arrival. If they had come earlier, they would have overwhelmed you. If they had manifested sooner, they would have been mishandled. Timing was protection. Heaven took notice when you forgave without an apology, when you kept your integrity while misunderstood, when you resisted bitterness even when it felt justified. These were not small victories. These were qualifications, and they mattered more than you realize. Now the atmosphere is responding. What was stalled is being reactivated. What was waiting for alignment has found it. You are not stepping into something random. You are stepping into something earned through perseverance. This is not reward for perfection. This is response to faithfulness. Stay with me. Do not disengage. This message is still unfolding because what is being revealed must settle into your spirit. You need to recognize what is about to move so you do not doubt it when it does. Keep watching. Stay until the end. There is urgency now because momentum has begun. If you feel this truth, act in agreement, like this message as a signal of readiness. And in the comments, type, "Heaven noticed me." Speak it, own it, do not leave. The next part explains why the delay was never denial and why what blocked you is about to break. I am Archangel Michael, and now I address the question that has echoed in your heart for so long. Why did it take this long? You wondered if the delay meant rejection. You feared that silence meant refusal. You questioned whether God had changed his mind about you. But hear me clearly, delay is not denial. Delay is design. What you experienced was not heaven withholding, it was heaven arranging. There were elements that had to be aligned beyond what you could see. People had to move. Conditions had to shift. You had to grow in ways that only time and pressure could accomplish. If what you asked for had arrived too early, it would have collapsed under its own weight. What is coming must stand, not just appear. You were not being punished for mistakes. You were being protected from outcomes you were not yet equipped to handle. Some blessings require structure. Some answers demand maturity. And some doors stay closed not because you are unworthy, but because you are becoming ready. The waiting refined you. It clarified your motives. It strengthened your discernment. You now see differently than you did before, and that matters. You asked God repeatedly, sometimes desperately, sometimes quietly, sometimes with frustration. You prayed in faith, then prayed again in doubt. Yet even when your words changed, heaven's intention did not. God did not forget what he promised you. He waited until the promise would not destroy you. Timing is mercy. There were moments when you almost walked away from what you once desired. That was not failure, that was transformation. You learned what truly mattered. You learned what you would no longer settle for. You learned how to trust without needing immediate proof. These lessons were not optional. They were required. Understand this now. What you thought was late is actually on time. Heaven moves with precision, not impatience. The delay allowed hidden threats to surface and be removed. It allowed counterfeit opportunities to pass you by. It allowed your inner foundation to strengthen so what arrives now can remain. The door did not open before because it could not safely, not sustainably. But now the resistance that held it shut is weakening. The pressure is shifting. The moment is approaching where what once felt impossible will feel inevitable. Stay with me. Do not lose focus now. This revelation is preparing you to receive without fear and without doubt. When the change begins to show itself, you must remember this truth so you do not second-guess the timing. Keep watching. Stay until the end. There is movement now, and you are closer than you think. If this resonates in your spirit, respond in faith, like this message as a sign of trust. And in the comments, type, "The delay was not denial." Say it boldly. Remain here. The next part reveals how what was blocking you is already breaking, and why the shift will be undeniable. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of what stood in your way, the unseen barriers, the invisible resistance, the weight that made every step feel heavier than it should have been. You sensed it. You felt like something was blocking you just as things were about to move. You questioned why progress stalled at the edge of breakthrough. But understand this now, what blocked you was never permanent. It was permitted only for a time, and that time is ending. There were spiritual walls you did not build, yet you had to face. Patterns you did not choose, yet had to confront. Cycles that repeated until you wondered if escape was possible. But those barriers were not stronger than you. They were assignments meant to delay, not to defeat. And they have reached their limit. What you could not see was the weakening. While you were enduring, the pressure was reversing. Every time you chose faith over fear, the structure holding you back cracked. Every time you refused to respond with bitterness, another layer loosened. You were not stuck. You were breaking resistance from the inside. There are blockages that fall suddenly and others that collapse quietly. Yours has been collapsing quietly. You expected noise, proof, dramatic change. Instead, heaven chose dismantling. Piece by piece, influence by influence, delay by delay, what once felt immovable has been losing authority over your path. You felt tension because two realities were colliding, what was ending and what was beginning. That internal pressure was not confusion, it was transition. When a door is about to open, the resistance around it intensifies briefly. That does not mean you are losing ground. It means you are close. I tell you now with certainty, The grip is loosening. The hold is breaking. What delayed your answers is being removed. What confused your direction is clearing. You are not about to push harder. You are about to step forward. The force against you is retreating because its assignment has expired. You may still feel echoes of the struggle, but do not mistake echoes for reality. The battle has shifted. What once blocked your peace no longer has permission. What once drained your strength no longer has access. This is why your spirit feels different even before circumstances change. Stay with me. Do not turn away now. Recognition is important in this hour. You must see the shift before you feel its full effect. Awareness strengthens alignment. Keep watching. Stay until the end. The change will not remain hidden much longer. If you feel this breaking in your spirit, respond now, like this message, as a declaration of forward movement. And in the comments, type, "What blocked me is breaking." Say it with conviction. Do not leave. The next part reveals the turning point, the exact moment where everything begins to move in your favor, and it is closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of the turning point, the moment you have been approaching without realizing it, the instant when pressure shifts into progress, when waiting transforms into movement. This is the point where everything begins to lean in your favor, not because circumstances suddenly become easy, but because authority has changed hands. You have felt close to this moment before, yet something always seemed to interrupt it. This time is different. The turning point does not announce itself with noise. It reveals itself through alignment. Things that once resisted you will begin to cooperate. Conversations will shift tone. Opportunities will appear without force. What required struggle will now respond to presence. This is the moment when effort gives way to flow. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into order. Heaven has already gone ahead of you, adjusting what needed to be adjusted, removing what could not go with you, and softening what once felt impossible. The resistance did not disappear randomly. It moved because it was commanded to. Understand this clearly. A turning point is not always a visible event. Sometimes it is an internal release that changes how the world responds to you. You will notice it in how you breathe again, in how peace returns before proof arrives, in how fear loses its voice. These are signs, not coincidences. You were being positioned for this moment. Everything you endured sharpened your discernment so you would recognize the shift when it came. If this turning point had arrived earlier, you might have doubted it, rushed it, or mishandled it. But now, you are ready to move with clarity instead of desperation. There will be moments ahead when you pause and realize something is no longer chasing you the way it used to. The anxiety that once followed you will fall behind. The questions that haunted you will quiet. This is not because problems vanish, but because authority settles. You are no longer pushing uphill. You are being carried forward by momentum you did not create alone. Do not underestimate small changes. A turning point often begins subtly, then accelerates suddenly. What starts as a conversation becomes an opening. What begins as an idea becomes an opportunity. What feels like relief becomes restoration. Pay attention. Stay aware. This is not the time to disengage or retreat into doubt. I tell you now, you are crossing over. The old resistance cannot follow you where you are going. The season you are entering will confirm what you have been sensing all along, that the waiting was not wasted and the struggle was not in vain. Stay with me. Keep watching. Do not scroll away now. This message is unfolding in sequence, just like what is happening in your life. The next part will show you what is already being restored and set in motion, and you need to hear it. If you feel this shift, respond now, like this message as a sign of alignment, and in the comments type, "I have reached the turning point." Declare it. Stay here. What comes next explains what is already moving toward you, and it is closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of restoration, the movement already in motion, the return that has begun even if your eyes have not fully seen it yet. Restoration does not always arrive as a sudden gift placed in your hands. Often, it begins as a quiet rearranging. Pieces shift. What was scattered starts finding its way back. What felt lost begins to reappear in new form. You believed restoration meant going back to how things were, but heaven restores by advancing, not rewinding. What returns to you will be stronger, wiser, and more aligned than what was taken. You are not receiving a replica of the past. You are receiving an upgrade shaped by everything you survived. There are things being restored that you didn't even realize you lost. Confidence, clarity, joy, trust in yourself. Slowly, without announcement, you have begun to breathe deeper again. You have begun to imagine a future without fear attached to it. That is restoration already working within you. What was drained from you is being replenished. Energy, hope, vision. Even your sense of purpose is being reawakened. You may notice small but undeniable changes. Motivation returning, ideas forming, strength rising where exhaustion once lived. These are signs. Do not dismiss them. There are also external restorations in progress. Opportunities that passed you by are circling back in new forms. Relationships are being recalibrated, some restored, others replaced. What could not honor who you are becoming is being removed, even if that removal felt painful at first. Heaven never restores without also refining. You wondered if what you lost was gone forever. I tell you now, nothing that was meant for you is permanently lost. Some things were delayed. Some things were redirected. Some things had to die in one form to be reborn in another, but loss was never the final word. Restoration moves in stages. First comes inner alignment, then external confirmation, then manifestation. You are between the first and second stages now. That is why you feel different even before everything looks different. Do not rush this process. Let it settle. Let it build. Stay with me. Do not disengage now. Awareness accelerates restoration. Gratitude strengthens it. Trust sustains it. Keep watching. Stay until the end. What is being restored will soon become undeniable. If you feel renewal stirring in you, respond now, like this message, as a declaration of restoration. And in the comments, type, "What was lost is being restored." Stay here. The next part reveals how justice will speak on your behalf, without you needing to explain or defend yourself. I am Michael, and I speak now of vindication without explanation. For this is the way God moves when the season of proving is over. Listen closely and do not turn away, because what I am revealing is already unfolding, even as you read these words. What you have been questioned about, whispered about, misunderstood, or silently judged, for will not be corrected by arguments, evidence, or speeches. Heaven does not owe explanations to those who doubted you. When God vindicates, he does not hold a meeting. He issues a decree. I saw the moments when you wanted to defend yourself but chose silence. I saw when your heart burned to explain, to clarify, to be believed, yet you held your peace because you were too tired to keep fighting. You wondered if staying quiet meant losing. You wondered if injustice had the final word. Hear me now. Your silence was not weakness. It was alignment. And because you did not force your own vindication, God reserved the right to do it himself. What is coming will confuse those who misjudged you. They will not understand how the shift happened so suddenly. They will look for reasons, for logic, for human explanations, and they will not find them. That is because this vindication is not logical, it is legal. It is issued from the courts of heaven, where motives are weighed, tears are recorded, and endurance is honored. No appeal can overturn it. I tell you this plainly, you are about to be cleared without being questioned, elevated without campaigning, restored without explaining yourself. The same mouths that doubted will fall silent, not because you argued well, but because God acted decisively. Some will pretend they supported you all along. Others will watch from a distance, unsettled by how quickly the narrative changed. Do not chase their acknowledgement. Vindication does not require witnesses to be real. Stay with me, do not skip away now, because this part is important. The vindication coming is not only external, it is internal. The weight you carried from being misunderstood is about to lift. The constant replaying of conversations, the imagined defenses, the late-night thoughts of if only they knew, these will lose their power. Peace will follow vindication like a shadow follows light. You will feel lighter without knowing exactly why, and that will be the sign that heaven has spoken. What you must understand is this: God is not correcting your past, He is authorizing your future. Vindication is the clearing of the path ahead. It removes unseen resistance. It silences accusations you never heard but felt. It unlocks movement that was stalled not by your actions, but by false perceptions surrounding you. And when those perceptions are shattered, progress accelerates. I urge you, keep watching, keep listening, stay until the very end of this message, because what I am describing is not distant. It is near. This is the hour where things turn without warning. Do not announce it. Do not rush to prove anything. Let the change speak for itself. Heaven prefers results over rebuttals. Now I ask you to engage, because engagement is alignment. If this resonates in your spirit, like this message, as a sign of agreement, stay connected, because what is coming next builds on this moment. And type these words in the comments as a seal. I receive divine vindication. This is not for me, it is for you. Words spoken in faith mark moments in the spirit. Remain attentive, remain expectant. Something is unfolding right now, and you will want to be here when the next shift is revealed. Do not leave early. What you have been crying about in secret is already changing, and what comes next is closer than you think. I am Michael, and now I speak of peace replacing anxiety, because this is the evidence that the battle has shifted. Pay attention and do not look away. Stay with me until the end, because what you are feeling right now is not imagination. It is transition. Anxiety does not leave loudly. It loosens quietly, strand by strand, until one day you realize you can breathe again. I saw how anxiety followed you into quiet places. It sat beside you when no one else could see. It spoke in questions without answers, in fears without names, in heaviness that made simple things feel exhausting. You tried to pray through it. You tried to ignore it. You tried to be strong. But anxiety is not defeated by effort alone. It is displaced by peace, and peace only arrives when heaven intervenes. Hear this clearly. The peace beginning to settle over you is not dependent on circumstances changing first. That is how you will know it is divine. Nothing around you may look different yet, but something within you already is. The racing thoughts are slowing. The tightness in your chest is easing. The constant anticipation of bad news is losing its authority. This is not denial. This is deliverance. Stay with me. Do not skip now, because what I am revealing matters. Anxiety was never your identity. It was a symptom of prolonged spiritual pressure. You were under attack longer than you realized, carrying burdens you were never meant to hold alone. And now that pressure is lifting. When pressure lifts, peace rushes in to occupy the space it once claimed. You may notice yourself responding differently. Things that once triggered panic now only cause pause. Situations that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. This is not because you suddenly became stronger. It is because the weight has been reduced. Heaven has intervened in your nervous system, your thoughts, your emotions. Peace is being installed where fear once lived. I tell you this so you will not be confused by the calm. Do not question it. Do not analyze it away. Do not wait for it to disappear. Receive it. Peace is not fragile when it comes from God. It is anchored. It remains even when waves rise again. And they may rise, but they will not rule you. Listen closely. Peace does not mean you will never feel concern again. It means concern will no longer control you. Anxiety shouted. Peace whispers. Anxiety demanded attention. Peace invites trust. Anxiety drained you. Peace restores you. And restoration has already begun. Keep watching. Stay with me, because this peace is a sign that something bigger is near. Heaven always calms the heart before it moves the situation. You are being stabilized for what is coming next. If your spirit were still panicked, you would miss it. That is why peace comes first. There will be moments when you notice the old anxiety trying to return, like an echo. When that happens, do not fight it in fear. Simply stand in what has already been given. Say, "This is not mine anymore." Anxiety has lost its permission. Peace now has authority. Now I call you to respond. Engagement is not passive, it is alignment. If you feel this peace beginning, even slightly, like this message, as a sign of agreement, stay connected, because what unfolds next builds directly on this calm. And type these words in the comments as a declaration. Peace guards my heart. Speak it, seal it. Remain attentive. Do not leave early. Something is unfolding quickly now, and you are being prepared to receive it without fear. What you have been crying about in secret is changing, and the calm you feel is proof that heaven is already at work. Keep watching. What comes next is closer than you think. I am Michael, and now I speak of provision you didn't expect, because this is the way heaven moves when a season closes suddenly. Stay with me and do not turn away. Keep watching until the end, because what I am revealing is already aligning behind the scenes. God does not always provide through the channels you planned for. Often, he bypasses your expectations, so you will recognize his hand and not mistake the outcome for coincidence. I saw how carefully you calculated. You made lists, adjusted plans, reduced needs, told yourself you could manage with less. You prepared your heart for disappointment because you did not want to hope too loudly again. You asked for help in prayer, but part of you already accepted the idea that provision would come slowly, painfully, or barely enough. Hear me now. What is coming will interrupt that assumption. Provision is already moving toward you from directions you did not monitor. It is not arriving the way you imagined, because if it did, you would think you secured it by your own effort. This help will surprise you. It will feel mistimed at first, then suddenly perfect. It will come through people you did not expect, opportunities you did not chase, or resources you did not know were still possible. And when it arrives, you will pause, not because you doubted God, but because you did not expect him to move this way. Stay with me. Do not skip now, because this part matters deeply. Unexpected provision is not just about meeting a need, it is about restoring trust. Long delays taught you to rely only on yourself. Repeated disappointment trained you to stop asking. Heaven is undoing that conditioning. This provision is a message. You are not forgotten, and you are not on your own. I tell you plainly, this is not charity, and it is not pity. It is alignment. God is positioning you where supply flows naturally again. What felt blocked was not your worth, but the timing. And now the timing has shifted. When timing shifts, provision accelerates. You may notice this first as a small opening, something that looks almost insignificant. Do not dismiss it. Heaven often sends a signal before it sends fullness. A conversation, a message, an idea, an invitation. These are not random, they are threads. Follow them gently. Do not rush, do not force. Let provision find you. There is also something important you must hear. You do not have to beg for this. You do not have to over-explain your situation. God is not requiring you to relive your hardship to justify relief. This help will arrive with dignity intact. Your head will remain lifted. Your value will not be questioned. That is how you will know it is from him. Keep watching, stay with me, because what is unfolding now is closer than you think. Heaven releases provision when the heart is ready to receive without fear of loss. The anxiety that once made you hoard is loosening. The mindset of, what if this disappears, is being replaced with quiet confidence. That confidence is not arrogance, it is rest. You may also notice generosity awakening in you again. After lack, generosity feels risky, but provision restores flow. What comes to you will not stagnate, it will move through you. This is how God marks the end of a survival season and the beginning of a stewardship season. Now I call you to engage. because engagement seals awareness. If this speaks to your spirit, like this message as agreement, stay connected, do not drift away, because the next shift builds on this one. And type these words in the comments as a declaration. Unexpected provision is finding me. Speak it with expectation. Remain attentive. Do not leave early. Something is lining up right now that will make sense soon. What you have been crying about in secret is changing, and help is closer than you think. Already moving, already timed, already assigned. Keep watching. The next revelation is near. I am Michael, and now I speak of strength for the next season, because what God is doing in you now is deeper than comfort. Stay with me. Do not leave. Do not scroll away. Keep watching until the end, because this is where many misunderstand heaven's work. You asked for relief, but God is giving you readiness. You cried for rest, but God is building resilience. You thought the breakthrough would end the pressure, yet heaven is preparing you to carry what is coming without breaking. I watched you endure things that should have weakened you permanently. Seasons that drained your energy, eroded your confidence, and forced you to keep moving even when you felt empty. You learned how to function while tired, how to smile while heavy, how to continue while unsure. That survival was necessary, but it was not the destination. Survival was training. And now the training is ending. Hear this clearly. The strength being released into you now is not adrenaline, not emotion, not temporary motivation. It is settled strength. The kind that does not panic when resistance appears. The kind that does not collapse when plans shift. The kind that stands without needing applause, reassurance, or constant confirmation. This strength will feel different, quieter, heavier, rooted. Stay with me. Do not skip this part, because this is important. God is not returning you to who you were before the pain. That version of you could not carry the next season. You are being rebuilt with greater capacity. Your discernment is sharper. Your boundaries are firmer. Your spirit is steadier. You are less reactive, less desperate, less shaken by opinions. That is not numbness. That is maturity. You may notice that things which once drained you no longer have the same effect. Conversations that once unsettled you now pass through without lodging in your heart. Problems that once felt overwhelming now feel solvable. This is not because life became easier, it is because you became stronger. Heaven strengthened you quietly while you thought nothing was happening. This strength is also protection. What is coming requires endurance. Opportunity attracts attention. Growth attracts resistance. Elevation attracts scrutiny. God strengthens before he exposes. He fortifies before he advances. That is why this season felt slow. You were being reinforced internally so the external blessing would not crush you. Keep watching, stay with me, because this next truth matters. Strength does not mean you will never feel tired again. It means tiredness will no longer control your decisions. It means discouragement will no longer derail your obedience. It means you will rise faster, recover quicker, and stand longer than before. You will bend, but you will not break. I also tell you this. You are not meant to use this strength to fight everyone. You are meant to use it to stay aligned. Not every challenge deserves your energy. Not every battle is yours. Strength brings discernment, and discernment preserves peace. You are learning where to stand firm and where to let God handle it without your involvement. Do not miss this. Do not leave now, because the strength you are receiving is a signal. Heaven does not strengthen what it plans to abandon. God is investing in you because you are needed for what is next. You are being equipped, not benched, prepared, not paused. Now I call you to engage, because engagement is agreement. If this resonates in your spirit, like this message as a sign of alignment. Stay connected, do not drift, because what comes next builds directly on this strength. And type these words in the comments as a declaration. I am strengthened for what's next. Speak it, seal it. Remain alert, remain expectant. Something is approaching quickly now, and you are being made ready to receive it without fear, without collapse, without retreat. What you have been crying about in secret is changing. But more than that, you are changing. Keep watching. What is coming is close. I am Michael, and now I speak of a door no one can shut, because this is the moment authority replaces effort. Stay with me. Do not turn away. Do not lose focus. Keep watching until the end, because what I am revealing marks a decisive shift. You have pushed doors that would not move. You have waited outside opportunities that never opened. You wondered if you missed your moment, if someone else took your place, if timing betrayed you. Hear me clearly now. What did not open before was not failure, it was protection. This door opening before you is not dependent on permission from people. It is not sustained by favor that can be withdrawn. It is not fragile, temporary, or conditional. This door is aligned by divine authority, and when God opens, resistance becomes irrelevant. What once blocked you will not even recognize how you passed through. There will be no struggle at the entrance, no begging, no convincing. You will walk in because you are authorized. I saw the frustration of closed doors that made you question yourself. You replayed conversations, revised your approach, tried to improve what did not need fixing. You assumed the issue was qualification, timing, or visibility. But the truth is this: heaven was reserving you. Not every open door is a blessing. Some doors open too early and lead to unnecessary loss. God delayed you so you would enter whole, not desperate. Stay with me. Do not skip this, because this matters deeply. When this door opens, it will feel sudden, but it was prepared slowly. You were being positioned, strengthened, and aligned while you thought you were waiting. Others will call it luck. Some will say it happened overnight. They will not see the endurance, the obedience, the quiet faith that brought you here. That is why this door cannot be shut. It is built on what heaven has already approved. This opening will change access. You will be seen differently, heard differently, treated differently. Not because you demanded it, but because authority shifts perception. When God opens a door, he also changes how others recognize you. Resistance loses confidence. Opposition loses momentum. What once felt out of reach now feels natural, as though you always belonged there. Keep watching, stay with me, because this next truth is crucial. This door does not lead to ease alone, it leads to responsibility. Open doors come with assignments. Favor carries stewardship. What you step into will require wisdom, humility, and continued alignment. But do not fear that. You are not entering unprepared. The strength you received was for this threshold. I tell you plainly, once you step through this door, you will not need to keep explaining your worth. You will not need to chase validation. The environment itself will confirm you. The opportunity will speak louder than your defense ever could. This is how God ends seasons of proving, by placing you where proof is unnecessary. You may feel hesitation as this door opens. That does not mean you are unready. It means you understand the weight of what is being entrusted. Step forward anyway. Authority does not wait for perfect confidence, it responds to obedience. And obedience has already been seen. Do not leave now, stay with me, because this is close. This door is not theoretical, it is active. Conversations are aligning, decisions are shifting. Access is being granted even as you read this. Remain attentive so you do not miss the moment of entry by overthinking it. Now I call you to engage, because engagement seals awareness. If this resonates, like this message as agreement, stay connected, do not drift away, because what comes next builds on what you step into here. And type these words in the comments as a declaration. I walk through the door God opened. Speak it with faith. Remain watchful. Remain ready. What you have been crying about in secret is changing, and this open door is proof that the season has turned. Do not hesitate. Do not look back. Keep watching. What follows this opening is closer than you think. I am Michael, and now I deliver the final charge, because preparation has reached its completion point. Stay with me. Do not leave. Do not disengage. Keep watching until the very end, because this is not a gentle closing. This is a commissioning. What you have walked through has positioned you for what is next, and hesitation now would cost more than any delay before. Heaven has spoken, alignment has occurred, and movement is required. You are not standing where you were when this journey began. You are not thinking the way you once thought. You are not reacting from the same place. Strength has been installed. Peace has settled. Doors have opened. Your story has matured. This means responsibility has increased. What is entrusted to you next will require steadiness, obedience, and resolve. This is why I speak firmly now. Hear this clearly. Stand firm. Do not compromise what you gain just to feel comfortable. Do not negotiate with old patterns that God already broke. Firmness now is not aggression, it is clarity. You know what you will no longer tolerate. You know what drains you. You know what aligns you. Protect that knowledge. It was earned. I charge you also to stay faithful, not emotionally, but consistently. Faithfulness in this season looks like showing up even when the excitement fades. It looks like obedience without applause. It looks like trusting direction even when details are incomplete. Heaven does not require you to see everything, only to move when instructed. Faithfulness keeps doors open long after excitement passes. Stay with me, do not skip this, because the next part is crucial. Engage actively. This is not the season to observe from a distance. Participation signals readiness. When you respond, you position yourself. When you engage, you align your will with heaven's momentum. Silence has had its season. Now agreement must be expressed. That is why I call you to action. If this message has carried you, strengthened you, steadied you, like it now as a sign of alignment. Do not underestimate small acts of agreement. They mark transitions in the spirit. Stay connected, because what follows this charge unfolds quickly and builds upon everything you have just received. And now I ask you to declare, because declarations anchor outcomes. Type these words in the comments with intention. I am ready for what is coming. This is not for public display, it is a seal. Words spoken in alignment carry weight beyond visibility. Hear me clearly as I say this. What is coming is close, not distant, not theoretical, close enough that preparation had to be completed first. Close enough that urgency was necessary. Close enough that distractions had to be removed. Heaven does not rush, but it does not delay once alignment is complete. You may feel anticipation rising even now. Do not suppress it. Anticipation is awareness of proximity. Stay alert, stay grounded, stay obedient. When the next step presents itself, move without second guessing. Confidence will meet you in motion. I say this one final time, do not leave early. Do not disengage now. Keep watching. What you have been crying about in secret is no longer hidden, delayed, or uncertain. It is unfolding. The shift is active. The season has turned. Stand firm. Stay faithful. Engage fully. Prepare yourself, because what is coming is nearer than you think, and you were never meant to miss it.